Hi, I'm Barry Craig. Coming up next on the Union Label will be a conversation with Benny Adair and the Machinist Union's Guide Dogs of America program. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
The Guide Dogs of America program, which is part of the Machinists for 50 years, you said.
Right.
How did it get started?
We had a retired IM member who lost his eyesight, and he came back to the International and asked for help. And the International, the president and the officers felt like that was a very, very important need, and they decided to help that gentleman and also to start the Guide Dogs of America. It was started under another name, but that's what it is today, is Guide Dogs of America.
So every year, the machinist locals in our area have a fundraiser. Tell us about that.
Well, 7 years ago, we started a fundraiser for guide dogs, and now then it's turned into a golf scramble on Friday and a skeet shoot on Saturday. And our international president has attended every year, so it's very important to him that we do this, but it's also important to the machinists and the community. And we've had outstanding support by everyone in Marshall County, Calvert City, and surrounding areas to support that. Mm-hmm. So we've raised a little over $60,000 mm-hmm. in the last 7 years. Mm-hmm. And we just get support from everybody. It's our nonprofit organization that everyone can donate to, and we all have a connection with, because we personally know people who need guide dogs, and so anyone who is 18 years old and has the need and can meet the criteria that they have to, then they can get a dog. It's open to people in Canada as well as the United States. So.
Mm-hmm. So how do you, let's say you have someone in your family who would need a guide dog, how would they contact you?
Well, first of all, they'd have to, with the guidance of their doctor or whatever, they would have to contact Guide Dogs of America and request an interview, and then go through that process, money-wise, whether or not they couldn't afford to buy one or whatever, then this is a process that we donate a dog to someone who needs it. You don't have to be an IM member or anything like that. It's just, but we do have about 38 to 40 dogs graduated a year, is my understanding. It costs about $40,000 per dog to train that dog, get that dog to the point where he can lead a person, but also that person has to come in and be trained to work with the dog. So we provide all that. We have a school, and it's in Selmar, California, and they bring the individual out to train them with the dogs, and then they graduate them together. So they graduate as a team. But they do have to have the finances to take care of the dog, feed the dog, make sure he gets his shots and all that stuff, and mm-hmm. Then after the dog reaches a certain age, then we take the dog back and make sure it finds a retirement home. And
really,
right. If that person needs another dog, then they go through that same procedure again. But yes, my understanding is we remain ownership of that dog, and we make sure that dog has a long life and a retirement, and then has found a home to go retire in. And mm-hmm. so a lot of our puppy raisers will request a dog after retirement, and they may have actually trained that dog up till it's 18 months old, mm-hmm. and then give it to guide dogs for placement, and then they may request that dog back when it reaches retirement age.
Now, what would be the retirement age for a dog?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 years old, I think. And
Now, supposedly that's 70 in human years. I don't know if that's true or not, but you hear that all the time.
That's what they say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now I'm assuming that Guide Dogs of America is online. They can,
Yes,
could find it
yes. You
online.
can contribute online. And you can look it up on the internet and read all about it. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful agency. And I'm very proud to be part of it. I'm proud that the International chose that, because nobody ever turns us down. When you ask for a donation or you ask for their help, people's open their hearts and open their minds and contribute to us. And I might say that Calvert City Country Club has given us the club for the last few years and has supported us with that donation. And also Calvert City Gun Club provides us with their facility. So we don't have to pay to use either facility. And so all the money that we raise all goes to Guide Dogs. We don't have very little expense. And no one gets any money other than Guide Dogs. All the money goes to them. So
Now, your international president, Thomas Buffenbarger, he's an avid hunter and skeet shooter himself, isn't he?
he is.
So he enjoys coming down and
Yes.
shooting the clay pigeons.
He's been here for the last 7 years, and I expect him to be here for the 8th year.
Is he a pretty good shot?
He is, yeah.
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 He's from Cincinnati, isn't he?
Yes, he's from in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the process, these puppy raisers, are they all over the country?
Yes, they can be. Anybody that wants to raise puppies can do that. It's of course it's an art to it. You have to make sure they get their shots and everything and take care of them, but they also have to teach them how to lead and some commands and stuff like that. And they raise the dog up to they're about 18 months old. This is my understanding. And then as the need for the dogs to come into the facility, then they choose dogs by the certain criteria that the Guide Dogs have set forth. So most of our puppy raisers are out in that area, but we do have some, and there's other entities that raise dogs. I mean, that use dogs. So it's not only just Guide Dogs. We're not the only one in the United States. There's others. So dogs may go to those entities as well as us, but it's.
Any idea through the years how many Guide Dogs you all have placed?
We've been in existence for somewhere around 50 years, so.
Be in the thousands, I guess.
I would think so. I would think so. Yes.
Now, we talked about before the breeds of dogs that are used typically would be, well, we were talking before, I always think of Guide Dogs as being German Shepherds, but you said there are other breeds too.
Golden Retrievers and Labradors are also used, and they're actually trying some more dogs, other breeds of dogs, but it seems to me that the Lab is, in my mind, is probably the number one. Their temperament and everything, they just fit real good, and I think that's probably the number one choice. But I know they are working with other breeds to see if they compare it to the Lab and the Golden Retriever and the Shepherd. I think the Shepherd was probably the first dog they used.
Yeah. So it has to be a pretty big dog to do this, I guess.
Well, I think the dog needs to be at a certain size, capable of maybe stopping a person or pulling a person, and you're walking along beside of a dog and he's directing you. So if he sees something that he needs to stop you, I think he nudges against you or whatever he does. I don't know exactly, but I don't know if they have to be a 60-pound dog or a 100-pound, but I have a Lab, but she'll weigh close to 100 pounds, but she's a little overweight.
Well,
so
some of us are too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You had to say that, didn't you?
Well, it's both of us everywhere. Any people in this area that have been placed that you can recall?
Not that I can name, and I wouldn't want to name them anyway.
Right.
But,
Right.
I expect that someday someone around here will get a dog and we'll sponsor a dog for them and be very proud to. So I don't really think I need to say anyone's name or anything
Right.
like that because of that.
Sure.
But I know we have prospects and one person that I'm thinking of, I hope they do get one. And I think it'll be good.
So going back to the Calvert City program, you begin with a golf scramble. So do you have to be a really good golfer to participate?
Oh no, it's just a more of a social event. The golf scramble's on Friday. Just 4-man scramble. You cannot win by playing golf except for maybe a long drive or something like that contest on the course. The score doesn't matter because we're there to raise money and not to see who the best golfer is. But we do have prizes that's been donated by different entities and people, and so we draw out of a hat a number. You come in and you register and you buy a chance on the hats, and then or buy a chance out of a hat, and the prizes are then drawn, and everyone walks away with a prize. That's what we've tried to do, and then we have some golf clubs and other things that we give away as prizes. But we have a real nice ditty bag that has golf balls and other items in it. So, and the cost is very reasonable. I mean, we charge $50 for a golfer, and supply them with a cart and a meal. We have a nice meal afterwards, and
Who caters that?
Well, we had a food giant at Calvert City catered it last year and done a great job, and we'll get a plug in for them, but I'm going to try to get them to do it again this year, and they helped us with the price and everything, so we kept everything down. And the skeet shoots on Saturday, and it's pretty well done the same way. It's a social event, and you just come and talk and see everybody, and you get a chance to go out and shoot a couple of times, a couple of rounds of clay pigeons, and it's not who's best shot or who wins. It's just being there and talking and understanding what it's all about, trying to raise money. And we have one of my members from my local, Danny Alexander, cooks the barbecue, and we have the IGA store, Marshall's IGA at Possum Trot. They are very generous, and they usually donate the shoulders to have them barbecued, and so we just couldn't do it without these people. But I don't want to leave anybody out because we have a lot of sponsors. Right. But you know, these are some of our major sponsors, and we appreciate everybody that donates.
And what time in the year do you do this?
This is always the third weekend in September. So this time it'll be the golf scramble will be the 17th of September, and the skeet shoot will be the 18th. And again, it's the golf will be at Calvert City Country Club, and the skeet will be at Calvert City Gun Club at Possum Trot. So it's just good times, and we have a lot of people that come back every year. So it's a repeat, but they come back to help us, and you know, we raise anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a year.
Wow!
We peaked out one year. We raised a little over 20. Of course, we just kept trying to get to there, and then as recessions came along and everything, we dropped back down. We were able to give them $12,500 last year, but that's still good, and hopefully we can level out and give them about that much every year. But, so.
About how many people participate approximately?
In the golf scramble, we've had as many as 125, 130, you know, show up and pay the registration fee and everything and play golf. And the skeet shoot, we normally have around 90. And they come anytime from 8 to 4 in the afternoon, you know. So some of them come and shoot early and then leave right after lunch, and some come right before lunch and then eat lunch and then shoot and leave. So it's not a certain time that you have to be there. We just want anybody that wants to be there to come and be involved in it. And there again at the skeet shoot, we have a chance for you to buy tickets and win prizes, and we have prizes like motel stays, dinners for two, you know. So it's some nice prizes, but it's all donated, and of course they are advertising their business by donating the dinners and motel stays. But we have a chance to pass it out, and it helps us raise money. So
it's a lot of community involvement.
it's a lot of community involvement, yes. And our community supports the machinists, and of course our machinists support the community. So, but it's our community effort to get our name out there and show the community that the machinists are here, and we will support you with your efforts. So,
Let's talk a little bit, a minute about your job as the directing business representative for District Lodge 154. For people who don't understand how that works, what does District 154 encompass, and what does your job encompass?
District 154 encompasses the machinist locals that are located in western Kentucky. We have 4 locals at Calvert City, and we have 1 at Princeton, 1 in Hopkinsville, and we have a small group at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And my job is basically to negotiate contracts and to assist the president and the chief stewards at each one of the plants with their policing of their contracts. I handle the negotiations and arbitrations, and the business management of the district is my job.
So you do a fair bit of traveling.
Some, very little overnight, but some. I travel to Princeton or Hopkinsville 2 or 3 times a month, and try to visit the plants at Calvert City occasionally, you know, when we have an issue or whatever. But most of the time, I'm office bound, doing work there, letters and documents that has to be done. So there's a lot of work that has to be done in the office now. The Labor Department is putting more and more work on us all the time. So that pretty. It sounds simple, but it's a lot to it.
Right.
You know.
Now, you're also the president of the State Council of Machinists.
Yes, I am president of Kentucky State Council Machinists. And of course, that's a political PAC. That's mainly what our purpose is to decide who we want to represent or who we want representing us. And we have 2 meetings a year, but the State Council is one that tries to host our events for they're the main host for guide dogs, and that's outside of the realm of politics, but still we're the hosts for it, and the money has to be separated. There's no way that the money ever gets in the same pot. But
Across Kentucky, how many machinist locals are there, and how many districts are there?
There's in Kentucky we have 3 districts. We have a Calvert City District 154. We have District 27 in Louisville. That's all under the Southern Territory. We also have a railroad district that's located in Reeland, but that's outside of us. That's in transportation. So we're completely under 2 different GVPs, presidents, you know, vice presidents. So.
So your group would be industrial machinists.
We're industrial, and they're railroad. Yes, we're separated by our vice president, so we have nothing to do with the railroad, and they have nothing to do with us, you know. But we're all under the umbrella of the IAM.
Now, railroad machinists, that would be at the Paducah shops?
Yes, yes. District 19, I don't know what what areas that it does encompass, but Paducah is part of it, and then Tennessee, Georgia, whatever, I don't know.
The other topic you wanted to talk about today is a special ceremony at the area council coming up in the month of March, a special flag raising ceremony. Tell us about that.
Well, it is. It's going to be a flag celebration, is what we've titled it. It's March 27th at 2 p.m. It's on a Saturday, and last year, well, in 2007, there was $5.3 million worth of American flags imported into the United States. They came from China, and I wrote a resolution and carried it to the legislators in Frankfurt, and they picked up on it and went through the legislation and then to the Senate, and the Senate drafted a Senate Bill 33, and it was passed and signed by the governor March 6th of 2009, that only USA-made flags could fly over the state capitol and the capitol buildings. And this school is one of the capitol buildings, so, or the state buildings. So we're having a celebration, and I think it's very worthy to have this celebration, to let the community know that this happened, and that we're only wanting USA-made flags flown in Kentucky. You know, it's a shame that our symbol of freedom cannot be made here, and it is being made here, but we want everyone to fly USA-made flags and not import $5.3 million worth of China-made flags in the United States. So.
Now, this flag that will be hoisted up is a special flag. Can you tell
It
us
is.
about that?
I've asked one of our congressmen to bring a flag that's flown over the Capitol of the United States, and he said he would gladly bring one and present it to us. It's Congressman Chandler, and we expect him to be there with the flag, and so we're looking forward to his attendance, but we've invited all of our congressmen from this area. We've invited all of our legislators from this area. We've invited the governor and lieutenant governor, and I've invited the international president of the Machinists Union to be our guest speaker. Since the machinist is the one that did start the resolution to protect the flag, then I felt it would be honorable for him to be here and to be our guest speaker. So hopefully that will all pan out, but if it doesn't, we may have you as our guest speaker. But, we'll
and this,
see
of
how it
course,
works out.
this is a Stars and Stripes, an American flag that flew over the United States Capitol.
Right. Right.
Now, isn't there also didn't Representative Coursey donate to the council a Kentucky state flag that had flown over the Capitol?
Right, and we're honoring that flag by having it encased in a triangle case.
Well, now, is that one going to be hoisted too?
I don't know if we're going to hoist that one. We can. I don't know that we've actually talked about that. Maybe y'all have talked about it, and I'm not privileged to that.
No, I was just curious.
I think we appreciated him bringing that, and we made a motion there at the area council to encase that flag.
The case has been bought. Right.
And to have it in a presentation case and for presentation. So.
Well, now the American flag, is it going to be stowed or is it going to actually fly?
We're gonna fly it during the celebration, and then we will pull it back down and put our other flag back up. But whatever flags we fly will be USA made,
and have flown over the U.S. Capitol and the Kentucky Capitol. And that was State Representative Will Coursey of Sharp, I guess is his hometown.
Right.
Yeah.
And we hope that all of our legislators from this area will attend. And even our Congressman Whitfield, we hope he will attend too. He's invited, and I haven't heard from him, but I hope he does.
You also, the machinists also are hoping to maybe get the national AFL-CIO to sign on to this, and then maybe work through.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I have spoken to one of our congressmen, and he told me that he would be honored to push this forward. We have taken this resolution that I wrote through the state council. It started out with the AFL here in Paducah, or machinists first, and then the state council, our AFL-CIO in Paducah. We passed it through there. Then we went to the state AFL-CIO
convention, didn't you?
Convention. We passed it through that convention. It also went through the machinist convention. They have a convention every 4 years. It passed through that convention. So that carried it to a national level. So my international president is trying to push it through to get it passed through the AFL-CIO, and we have a congressman that's looking at getting a bill to get it passed to a national level. So I don't see any reason why it won't go, because it passed our Senate 99-0. So or 100-0. So I don't think anybody will ever vote against it, and it's the right thing to do. So
now the American flag, it's going to be stored as well. You think? Yeah. And of course that will require someone to properly fold it. And you being an Army veteran, you're going to take care of that.
Yes, I was asked if I could fold one. It's been a long time, but I do know how to fold.
And there's a special way. It becomes a triangle, and the end, if you do it right, you stuff part of it in, and it makes a tight triangle. And you often see that when veterans die. It's part of the part of the thing. So you're going to practice on that before, or you think you can just wing it?
I had I guess you could say, the duty. I don't want to say it was a privilege, but when I was in the service, I was in a ceremony for an 87's funeral, so we had to fold the flag and present it and everything. So, and we intend to have an honor guard from Calvert City is volunteered to come to the flag celebration, and so they will also be there. They know how to fold the flag and everything.
In case if you need some help, so
they're
American Legion.
American Legion Honor Guard.
To fire a salute. Yeah.
So we plan on them being there, and of course I was telling them about it and asked them that they might want to come, and they volunteered to come and do an honor guard and do whatever they do at a function like that. So we hope to have a big day. I hope we can get Paducah Sun out and get us some coverage on it. And I want to invite everybody. I want anybody that wants to come and see that celebration. But I think it's worthy, and we need to let people know that the machinists, our union brothers, and everything are supporting this. So.
We have 1 minute left. Let's switch gears back to the Guide Dogs program. If someone who is watching this wants to know about the program, what's a good person? Could they call you at work?
Yes, if they're interested in attending any of the functions, donating money, or just have questions, they can call me. My office is at Calvert City. My number is 270-395-7195, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. And if I'm not there, I'll call them back. So.
And then, of course, online, it's www. Where would they go to?
They would go to Guide Dogs of America. .com. I'm sure.
Or they could do a Google search and find it that way. Yeah, I have seen the website, and it's very informative. There's lots on there too. So.
And we have a new president. Jay Borman was the president for the last 10 years, and now Dale Hartford has taken over as president
of the program.
Right. Yeah. He's the president of Guide Dogs.
We are out of time. Thank you for coming. My guest today was Benny Adair. I'm Barry Craig. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.